Greetings, algo artisans. Bitcoin is raging.
I'm rich, biatch!
Can Bitcoin go to 60,000 this week? That's like by tomorrow. Is that even possible? We're going to talk about that right now. But before we get started, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on YouTube, follow me on X, so we can get more content like this out to you. Okay, so we're gonna mostly take a look at the charts today. There is a little bit of data that we will pay attention to in the news, but the charts pretty much tell all anyway. The news is generally secondary. So we're taking a look at Bitcoin going back to early December here, and this chart is showing basically a 2-month-long consolidation, and most shows where we chart Bitcoin has been taking this view. So this is a daily chart. Actually, it's 18 hours. Each one of these candlesticks is 18 hours worth of price action. And so price stayed within this range that is between 44,300 and 40,400 more or less for about 2 months, and then it popped up. Now, when price stays in a range like that, it means that whenever it does move, whatever direction it goes in, up or down, it generally is a strong move. And if you've been watching us, you'll remember that this move up here was the Bitcoin ETF. There were actually two ETFs. There's the ETF Scare and the ETF Actual. That was the scare, if you will, the false reporting. This is the actual. I did tell everybody that it was going to be a sell the news event. It was, in fact, a sell the news event. Price went down by at least, 20%, I think. $50,000 down to $38,000. That is a $12,000 move. Something like 20%, whatever. It's big. And now it's gone back up. Now, the Gorilla went ahead and told us, via the Gorilla in our morning shows, my partner in this business, did tell us from his information that he does get on high. He gets this from pretty huge, massive players. He is a huge, massive player in the Bitcoin game, and he did tell us before it happened. We didn't tell anybody outside of the group for a while. He did tell us that it probably wouldn't go much further than down below this $38,000 mark, and of course it bounced right off of that and broke its yearly highs and is now approaching all-time highs. All-time high going back to 2022, I believe it was, might have been 21, where Bitcoin went to 69,000. 69,000 is only, gosh, it's 52,000 right now, so 17,000 away. And right now we can take a look closer and actually do some measurements here. And we're going to take a look at what Bitcoin has done, what it might do. And the first thing I want to do is take a kind of a higher time frame Fibonacci extension tool. So we teach people how to use this over at Algo Factory. But what we do is we use a Fibonacci tool to measure what are called market impulses. We can treat this like one large impulse. Now, mind you, this impulse may still continue to go. I'm going to leave some of this yellow gobbledygook up here because it matters later. So it's going to make the chart a little bit messy, but stick with me here. We will explain it all. So if we treat this as one impulse, and if price were to actually come back down a little bit right now, it would need to come back down for this to work, but we have targets up at about 56,000, really 55.5, and then up towards 60, right below 60. So I would be taking, I mean, look, I think we might actually expand a little bit. We'll see about it, but I think 56, 57,000 is a decent target for the high end if price can break 53,000. Why is 53,000 marked on this chart? Well, let's talk about that. If we go back in time, if I go to a higher time frame, if you'll stick with me while I click through the screens here really quick. So what I've done here is I've taken the time frame up to the weekly, basically the week. It's actually a 5-day, and 53,000 was important back in 2022, in the beginning of 2022. Bitcoin had come off of its all-time highs, which we can see was in 2021, and as price was coming down, it did attempt to move back up. Price came off of its all-time highs right here, and then came down to 40,100, rallied back up to 52,000, basically, a little bit higher than that, and then rejected and came back. So this is a historically important moment. This is a pivot point, and that matters because price tends to move at those same points in the future, which is right where price is right now. If I draw a line and I move out to the current time, you will see that price is right literally at this line right here. That's where price is right now at a very important point, a very important pivot point back in 2022. So price could reject here. And if it did reject here, we do have some downside targets, and it has to do with where liquidity is. It has to do with a lot of price action and what had happened before. Now, I do have here in yellow some areas marked out for where I think price might go to, but in the meantime, I'm going to jump back down to the daily chart so we can have a better and easier look at this. So here we are back down at the daily chart, and I used used some data from the Kingfisher.io to grab some liquidity information. And this liquidity, especially this lower bit down in the low 40s, has been here for days and it has only grown. So basically, price tends to want to head towards liquidity. However, price wants to have to head in that direction first. Otherwise, that liquidity gets left behind. At the moment, everything is bullish in the algos, except for you're starting to see it flip a little bit on the lower time frames. Okay, so it might be that price rejects right here around 52,000. If price breaks above 53, it's going to be a different story. We have not seen that happen. It's got to break and close above 53,000 for me to be bullish, and that has not yet happened. Okay, so for the moment, price is still below that, and we are going to zoom into a lower time frame. But just to give you an idea of what might happen in the future, price may come down to grab liquidity in these areas where we last saw liquidity on the Kingfisher. And of course, I always update these liquidity charts, so this is subject to change, and it makes a lot of sense even if it changes, or it may not change at all, because price did bounce around in this area, right? Both these different levels saw price bounce around, and that's where liquidity tends to gather. These are people's liquidation points on the exchanges. So price could easily head down to 48,000, 47,000, but a very strong liquidity area that has been there for a good week or two and only growing is right at 43, 45,000. That is an area that if price rejects, it's quite possible that price could come to that. Now, the main subject of the video is whether or not price could go to $60,000 by the end of the week, and that's tomorrow. And I actually am not betting on that. That was just kind of a crazy title. I thought it would be fun to yell and scream like some of those Bitcoin people. The reality is that 57 or 58,000 is going to be hard to break. All right, so if price really does rally up, you're talking about this happening within about 24 hours for price to jump up above 53,000 and to rally all the way up past 58,000, which is going to be a challenge, and then up to 60,000. And I don't think it's going to happen this week. It would not surprise me if this happened before the halving. And I'm going to show you why I think we're very bullish in a moment with some information. But first, let's roll down to the 30-minute chart. I did post on Twitter this channel earlier today, and I posted it on Twitter, and I said, if price makes this continued move up, then price may make a run at 53,000. But it broke out of this channel, and I don't normally trade channels, but with Bitcoin, this kind of sideways, almost vertical accumulation is a thing. And if that thing continues, price tends to break upward, and it did not continue. It broke downward. So we don't know that it's going to go down just yet, but at this point, I'm fairly confident that it's not going to go up at least right away. It may need to gather some liquidity. It may need to drop down to this 50, and it may simply just go down. I mean, this might not be a bad time to short and go down to 43. I'm not saying this as investment advice, and my algos haven't quite given me the okay to go for that yet, but this could be the early signs of a move back down to the low 40s, which would be a significant move down. They're talking about a good 20% or something, roughly maybe 17, 18%. Okay, so that did happen, and it did break out of that. So right now, as far as wanting to go long, I'm not ready to do that. I might even take a very small short because of the amazing risk to reward ratio as an early entry, right? And then of course, if the algos tell me I can short, I will go short, and I will take that short, and I will tell people in Algo Factory that I've done that. And once that short is underway and I'm in considerable profit, I'll probably share that on Twitter or on one of these shows. In the meantime, why is Bitcoin doing so well? Well, if you look at this CoinDesk article, it says here that, look at the headlines, Bitcoin is above 50K. Options traders are betting on 75,000. I actually did a show on that yesterday, and it's actually 65 to 75,000 for options traders, and that is on the 3 to 5 month expiry. So there are a lot of options traders who are sophisticated think the price will go above all-time highs in the next few months. Some of them. A lot of them think it will approach the all-time highs. It's also talking about the market cap being back above $1 trillion. People pay attention to that. It's a big deal. It makes people confident. ETFs have accumulated $11 billion since being approved in the US in January. We're talking about extreme greed territory, which actually, whenever I see extreme greed territory, I begin to think, okay, maybe we should think about shorting. I am definitely against the crowd. However, there are other things going on. We're approaching the halving. We have the ETF just buying Bitcoins, a lot of Bitcoin going into ETFs. There are reasons why maybe the crowd's right this time. In general, I'm always wary when everybody is super, super, super bullish. There should at least be some kind of a pullback when people get extremely greedy. And there is a Bitcoin greed and fear website. You can go check that out. I didn't bring that up today because we're running out of time. But we're talking about here's the flows into the ETFs. Since Gensler did not approve Bitcoin in 2023, he sort of caused a lot of people to continue to buy it because people kept anticipating the ETF announcement, right? So that big sell-off didn't happen until 2024, and therefore Bitcoin continued to grow. grow. So we're just seeing a lot of, even the challenges are being overcome by the price. It says here, despite minor revenue challenges in the short term, fundamental on-chain activity and positive market structure updates make this halving different on a fundamental level. So they're saying this time it's different. Look, we've only seen a handful of halvings, so it's not like we can go back and look at 100 halvings and say 95 out of 100 times it acts like this. We only have a couple. So we don't want to use one or two data points to try to predict too heavily what happens on the third. Okay, so all that to say, I don't think 60,000 is happening this week or tomorrow, but I think it could easily happen in the coming weeks. Like it could be next week, the week after, or there might be a retracement. As that happens, I will be showing my charts, especially to our private group, which is over at algofactory.tech. Come join us if you want to learn how to do all of that charting stuff. It's actually not that complex. We can start you from the beginning and we can show you how we do it. It takes a little time to learn, but once you do learn, you're able to possibly create your own income stream from trading. And if you're really interested, we can put you on the path to being able to automate that trading through an algo that you create. Okay, you would have the help of a coder. You don't have to learn how to code. It's not that hard to do. It just takes time and study. So that's algofactory.tech. Come join us, trade your job, upgrade your life. See you on the next one. All right, hope you enjoyed the show. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. On the screen there, you can see our website, algofactory.tech. Step that QR code to take you straight there. I'm also very active on X. That's algo_factory777. We got TikTok and Rumble. In the meantime, we hope to see you over at the website. Come on over, trade your job, upgrade your life. We'll see you there.